Well, good morning, YouTube. Today we're working on a Ford F250. It's a 2000 model four-wheel drive with the Triton V8 in it, 5.4 liter. Hadn't been able to find a whole lot of information online or on the YouTube about this particular truck. Been able to find all kinds of stuff on the diesel motors, which is great. But if you've got the gas motor, you're going to have to hunt and scrape and scrounge to try to find some videos to help you out a little bit. So I figured we'd make this one just to show you what we found on it. This truck has got spongy brakes. That's the best way I can think to describe it. You know, you'd be going down the road and you'd hit your brakes and pedal almost go all the way to the floor. But it would stop, you know. So started doing some investigation online, trying to find out what was going on with it. All the forums and stuff basically were saying, you know, you've got air in your brake lines, bleed your brake lines. Well, we bled them. Didn't help none. Did some more digging around, and some people are saying it could be your ABS controller going bad. Evidently, they do go bad. I didn't know that. Well, followed the steps online to check it out. It passed good. We'll show you where that is here in a minute. It's a pain to get to. Check the brake booster back there for anything. Just ran through the basic tests on it, you know, holding the brake, turning the truck on. The vacuum boost on it's fine. Check the vacuum hose for it. The other thing we noticed was that the cruise control had quit working. You know, generally don't use the cruise control too much because we're towing a trailer. You know, we've got equipment on it. We're moving hay, just various stuff, and you know, we don't use cruise control on it that often. Well, what we found is Ford had a recall on the brake booster several years ago. Evidently, they had some trucks that were catching on fire in the engine bay. So we started looking around at that. Once we got to looking at it, noticed that the wiring harness and all that were just covered with brake fluid. So we ordered some parts and changed it out, and guess what? That fixed it. So let me take the breather box off and show you what we found, what we did to fix it, and all that stuff. And we'll just move this out of the way here so we can see a little bit better. All right. Right here is your cruise control cancel switch. Basically, when you're going down the road, you tap your brakes. The fluid in here sends a signal to turn the cruise control off. That simple. That right there is a 22 millimeter fitting on that. The kit we bought had the valve in it, the new wiring harness, which is plug and play. It's pretty simple. And we'll show you what we had to begin with. Right here is the original piece that came off the truck. When Ford had their recall, their solution at the time was to put in a 2 amp inline fuse to kill the power when that switch failed. Right there's the valve where it screws into the master cylinder. That comes off with a 14 millimeter wrench. When we unplugged this thing, down in here was just sopping with brake fluid. So somewhere in here, brake fluid was being able to pass through into that and shorten the fuse out. Well, you know, most people, when they have a blown fuse, if you even think to look, this thing was buried down in there. I'd like to never found that fuse holder. But most people, when they have a blown fuse, what's the first thing they do? Replace the fuse. Now, probably not a good idea. If your fuse is blowing, it's blowing for a reason. All right, so once we got all that changed out, you know, got in the truck, started the truck up, drove a little bit, brakes were still a little spongy. So the other thing that we had found is that your ABS system, that valve box we were talking about, will get air trapped in it. There's two ways you can bleed that stuff out. One is using my multi-check. It actually has a ABS service tool on it, which will actually bleed the air out of that control box. The other way that I read to do it online was to drive your truck on a gravel road and slam on the brakes 4 or 5 times and make the ABS come on so your brakes don't lock up. That would get rid of the air in the line as well. But this right here, well worth the money. We used it on this truck, a couple of our other vehicles, just for checking codes and all that. It helps. So if you're working on vehicles, you might want to look at one of those. The kit for the repair is that kit right there. And believe it or not, it is a Ford Motorcraft part, genuine part, off of Amazon for $30. Not sure what the dealership would want for it. Afraid to ask what the dealership would want for it. So, hope this helps you. And we've got some more coming out on this particular truck. So, we will see you later. Take care. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. Thanks. Bye.